Fromsoftware has released a lot of titles in the past decades. For PC, the main titles are the Dark Souls trilogy, Sekiro and Elden Ring. No Bloodborne PC port is available yet. If we replace the first Dark Souls with Dark Souls Remastered, we get a total of 5 games to consider that can be played on PC. Even though these games can be played on PC with the traditional keyboard and mouse control, they can be quite tough to play without a controller. Playing these games with controller actually provides more optimized experience. I have played all these titles using a keyboard and mouse and also a controller, and the latter was more enjoyable and convenient. Still, I'm not saying that they're brutally hard to play with a keyboard mouse control. So in this video, we're gonna take a look at all the keyboard mouse controls and determine which game feels the best playing through KBM. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's go through the games in the order of release dates. First game we have is Dark Souls 2, and I must say the keyboard control of this game is comical and absolutely horrendous. I'm not gonna consider the fact that you can edit the key bindings. The fact that you have to press 2 buttons at once to do some specific actions feels terrible. One of the most used buttons in Dark Souls is the button that is used for interacting. Picking up stuffs from enemies, lighting up a bonfire, or opening a door is what I'm talking about. The button that is assigned by default is the shift key and mouse click. I forgot which mouse click it was while writing the script, because so many times what happened was where I was supposed to interact with a certain thing, I misclicked, and instead of interaction, my character used his healing item, which was really frustrating as it happened over and over again. The initial feel of movement and combat is good enough, not gonna complain there. I didn't like the double click bindings though. For instance, a double right click is the keybind of a strong attack and the double left click is a parry. I forgot to tell that the attack button is the right click and the block button is left click, which is a little on the immersive side because you have your shield on your left hand and weapon on your right. It has a limited customization, and overall, despite having the customizing feature that could not be done in any other Dark Souls, I solemnly hate Dark Souls 2 KBM controls, and it has the worst keyboard controls of the franchise. The next game on the line is Dark Souls 3, which was released in 2016, and I think Dark Souls 3 had a good KBM control. The only bind that was combined was changing the left and right hand weapons, shift and scroll wheel up or down. I didn't really like it that much, and I wasn't a big fan of the scroll wheel in the first place anyway. From changing your consumables to changing your spells and weapons, the scroll wheel was necessary to put in use. And it makes me uncomfortable enough to switch to controller, but at least this one is pretty sustainable as it wasn't as bad as Dark Souls 2. Parrying worked well, the casual combat was great and all. I don't like moving the camera with a mouse in Souls games anyway, and for that reason I didn't enjoy playing with a mouse and keyboard. So the jumping system of Dark Souls 3 is you hold the spacebar to sprint and you press it again before jumping. Now that feels not too bad for Dark Souls because jumping is not a major movement you're going to do a lot. Still not the best Fromsoftware game for keyboard and mouse controls as we move to the next game, which is Dark Souls Remastered. Dark Souls Remastered was released in 2018, and at this time Fromsoftware started to show on-screen prompts, which was a great addition. The last 2 games didn't have this feature. You could only see the controller prompts on the screen, and it was quite tough to understand the keybind when using a keyboard, but here you know what button to press even when you're using your keyboard. The game feels like Dark Souls 3 with almost every controls being the same, with a little reference on the parry. In Dark Souls 3 you could press Ctrl or hit the right mouse and shift key at once to execute a parry, but in Dark Souls 1 you can only press the combined input to do the parry. I'm never a fan of hitting 2 keys at once, and I think the control key would be a much better implementation. Even though the control could be seen on the screen, it's still not the best suited game for KBM. In 2019, Sakura came out, and if I'm being honest, this game is the best suited game for keyboard and mouse. Obviously, it's also on par with controller controls in terms of how comfortable it feels, but playing this game with keyboard and mouse is what I did at the beginning. It feels great with it. Let's talk about the controls. Mouse left click to slash, mouse right click to parry, check. Shift to sprint, check. Jump with spacebar, check. Crouch with control, not checked, but I obviously swapped it with the prosthetic tool button and it was fine and dandy. Almost everything was similar to the Dark Souls experience, even though the combined binds wasn't to be seen in Sekiro, which I'm really thankful for. Remember I said shift to sprint, which we could not do in Dark Souls trilogy. We had to press and hold the spacebar to sprint and then press it again to jump. Now shift to sprint just feels very normal. The grappling button is F, which feels right on. I mean, what better button you could have assigned in this place? I really think Sakura has the best controls from both sides. I finished the game with both control schemes and it felt all in place and equally enjoyable. The latest title, Elden Ring, is the culmination of all the previous Souls titles, but that doesn't mean this game's keyboard control was good. The problem of Elden Ring's control of KBM is this game is a Souls-like, meaning it has all the not so convenient KBM binds, and this game is also an open world, so it has more stuffs in the game, more mechanics, and more buttons you need to press to do a variety of actions. Let me give you an example. So in addition to the armaments which can be switched by holding the traditional shift key and scrolling the mouse wheel, but now there is also a pouch, and for that I first have to press and hold the E button and then hold the shift key and also then use my scroll wheel to select that action. I put torrent in my pouch in the left slot and I'll hold the E and shift key together and do a scroll wheel down to mount him, which just feels really tedious, not gonna lie. Also the jump key is not spacebar but F because the shift key is used for weapon switching and pouch item selecting. The roll and sprint button is the spacebar as usual and everything is pretty much out of place. It's not unplayable, but it just doesn't feel that right. So the verdict is Sakura is the only Fromsoftware game to have the best keyboard and mouse controls, but this video is not meant to criticize KBM as opposed to controller. A player can choose any gear to play the game and enjoy it regardless of the games being optimized mainly for controller. Don't fight about it, just enjoy the game with whatever you wanna play with. That's all for this video. Peace out.